So we're live now? Awesome. Welcome, Gat3 Live. Our first one, 27 years, 27 stories. Welcome. Glad you guys could tune in and check out. We're just going to have a casual conversation. We're going to answer some questions. No doubt who knows what we'll talk about. We sort of didn't plan anything so that we could just discuss whatever we wanted to talk about.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever we want to. It's a very casual conversation. I'm Glenn Tabor, in case you don't know. And I'll let everyone
Everybody
else.
knows.
That's scary. Let everyone introduce themselves. Let's do that. I'm going to start here
I'm
with
Susan
my bride.
Tabor.
Yes.
I'm Logan Straley.
Drew Tabor, or
Almost.
You're like our adopted, cousin or something. There you go.
I'm Drew Tabor Smith.
And I'm Madeline Tabor.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Julia's behind the scenes. She's with us,
Yep.
Yeah.
not only in spirit but in person. She's just behind the scenes. She's making all of this work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if it doesn't work, it's her fault.
Oh, man.
That's what I heard.
Well, and
Don't
two,
do that to her. Don't do that to her.
I want to say we have to throw out a special thanks to the people at Gat3 that couldn't be here today because of the holiday, because of sessions, because of prior obligations. Wade Starnes, you all know Wade, an unbelievable part of our story.
Alex.
Ace. So many others, so many on the video team.
Nate.
So many people that couldn't be here at this moment that will no doubt be on future lives and are a part of our story and a part of our hearts. So we want to give a shout out to those guys as well and girls. So
Yeah.
awesome.
They're definitely part of the family, and gosh, it's been almost now we're approaching 28 years. So,
Monday is 28 years.
which is crazy.
It's just
And these 27 years, 27 stories, like when we started it, it seemed like so far out. But I can't believe this is the last one, right?
right. Yeah, we thought, oh man, it's a year. We've got plenty of time, and we're always in a mad dash to get one completed. And in fact, Madeline can elaborate on this more. We filmed so many that we, and then some that we just for flow reasons and for various editing reasons and things we just didn't finish. So there are more stories to come that will be after our 27, and who knows when they'll come out. But we have several. I can think of a handful right now off the top of my head that we didn't. So if your story didn't make it, we will highlight those soon enough. So
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
many people had such a great reaction to it that it was like we were sort of blown away, sort of surprised, right?
yeah,
Like it was like, oh wow, we just thought we'd do this, and we didn't know everybody would love it as much as they love it. You know?
Absolutely. What's been the most surprising to me is seeing how many people that maybe you don't interact with that often from all over the country, just people that we've met, on projects and things like that, who come up to us and say, I watched the 27 stories, I love it,
Yeah.
I just saw the most recent one. That's been the most surprising thing to me, because people are silently watching.
Yeah, yeah.
And
'cause
you don't know.
Not everybody
They don't comment.
comments.
They don't comment, they don't like. but then
Everybody
they tell
comment.
you.
Give us some love. But people come in the studio, and it may be their first time in the studio. And they walk up to me, and I'm like, hi, I'm Susan. And they're like, oh, I know who you are. I've seen your stories. So it's like, it's
Yeah.
really, it's encouraging to us that people care enough,
Well, we started 27 stories really as a way to document some of our history. It wasn't designed to be a promo. It wasn't designed to be, anything like that. It was designed more to document some stories and unique things that we've experienced over the years. And it's
I
been,
mean, we tell stories in the studio all the time.
yeah, it's true.
Absolutely.
We couldn't put all of them on YouTube, but yeah, I mean, there's interesting stories and heartfelt stories, and we didn't know what people would want to hear about, but we didn't want it just to be us. So
There were a lot of amazing people there are in our history that have come into our lives, and we've been in their lives, and we've made music together, and we've made video and film together, and and all these things that have happened that are an incredible history, and thankful to be a part of that. Really, we really are. It's truly humbling in a lot of ways to think the number of lives that we've been a part of and the number of projects that we've been a part of, and we're looking forward to. I feel like we're just getting started too. I keep saying that, but it's true.
I know, that's like your catchphrase.
Well,
so we're just getting started. Let's make it happen, and then everybody sing it with me. The intro song. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, all the editing that's going on. Logan, I mean, how many times have you heard that song?
Probably a
And we'll
billion.
give a shout out to that song was pulled from
The Oceanic guys, yeah.
Yeah, Oceanic. It's an album that I produced a couple of years ago, and a great band, and Nate's a part of our team here too, and does some wonderful programming and work with different artists, and so I was like, hey man, that's a great little. We took an intro from one of their songs and looped it, and I said, man, can we use your song? He's like, yeah, man, I love it. So now he's probably regretting
but
that
now
decision.
none of us
Right.
can really listen to that song. You all should, because it's a really good song. But now it's like we've heard it so much over this past year. It's
Absolutely.
like boom, 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 boom. It's our theme song.
There's a reason why you're in the front office. Huh?
Is what we call it. I'm not a singer. I know
Well.
that. I don't try to pretend to be.
As you mentioned, there's so many stories that we didn't get to tell, and we will tell them eventually. This isn't the end. It's the end of this series, but it's not the end of us telling stories. So I'm looking at the comments that are going live.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Share some
So
with us.
Austin asks, have you already told the James Brown story about like the last session? So we didn't include that in the series, I don't think.
No, we didn't.
No.
Do we want to?
You know what? That's a great question,
about that?
Austin. Thanks for the question, man. I had the fortunate pleasure and honor to record Mr. Brown, as we're directed to say, his last album, and before he passed. And what an honor. Obviously, I knew his history and the legend that he was before he came. And I can honestly say the first note out of his mouth confirmed all of that and sent chills up my spine. So an unbelievable time. Shout out to Derek Monk, who produced that album. What a wonderful talent there as well, and a great human. That album was epic, and the fulfillment of a lot of hard work, really, and a lot of effort. There are a lot of crazy stories that surround that, and in the interest of paying homage to him, he was a legend in the studio. He was a gentleman, and one take. And as I will quote him many times, the first take is God, everything else man-made.
Yeah.
And he would walk
we
out
told
of the
that
booth.
story.
He is, no doubt, he basically invented a genre of music. I mean, who can lay claim to that? Very, very, very few.
Well, and to have that tight of a band, you have to be commanding and
Well,
in
then,
control.
After that, he was a tough guy, and he was tough on his band, and he demanded perfection. He would not accept anything less, and that to me was an amazing thing to witness. And in fact, I'm still friends and work with many of his band members and band leaders to this day.
Yeah.
Both from horn section to rhythm section. We've done tribute albums with all of his band
JBs.
members, solo stuff. Shout out to all those guys. You guys have,
We love you.
yeah, we love you all. You've made a mark on my life and the studio's life that is forever cemented in history. Yeah. Great question, Austin. Thanks, man. I'm glad you took me down memory lane there for a minute. What an epic time that was, for sure. So
Absolutely, yeah. It's been throughout my life. I've been able to see all of the amazing artists that have been in the studio, and it's just incredible the kind of people that we get to work with, the kind of artists that we get to work with, and have for so long. I mean, we're almost at 28 years. We will be on Monday. And it's hard to just keep track of all the different people that have been in, and all the different artists from bluegrass to rock to pop to, I mean, you name it.
Yeah, major label to band down the road.
Yeah.
That's what I think is great about these 27 stories and continuing to do the stories is it's such a great archive and a time capsule for you guys. Because when we're all 80 years old and can't remember all of these stories, they are cemented here
Yeah.
for everybody to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And we get asked a lot of times, a big popular question is, people come in and they're like, who's the most important artist that
Who's
you've
the most
worked
famous
with?
artist?
Who's the biggest artist that you've had in here? And what's our answer?
Whoever's in today.
Whoever's in today.
Whoever's in today, and then
That's our answer.
my mama.
Yeah.
I have to say
His
that.
mama.
She's watching. She heard you. She's watching.
Oh, well, good. I got brownie points. Mom, I love
Mama always wins.
you. I have to say mom. And that leads us to, I guess, one of the stories that was touched on, my mom and dad. And my mom was a singer, and I remember going into the studio as a young boy,
Yeah.
playing drums on her album, seeing all this stuff, and no doubt, I'm sure I bugged the heck out of the engineers and producers. But I knew at a young age, I'm going to do this. This
You're
is what
hungry.
I'm going
This
to
was, and we tell our students, this was plan A. They said, what was your plan B? We said, we don't have one.
There is no plan B.
This has to work.
Here we are. You know, and two, I think that drive from a young age and being around, other people like Drew, like Logan, like Alex, like Wade, the team here that absolutely care beyond a shadow of a doubt for every single person that walks in that door.
Oh, yeah.
No matter where they're at in their career, whether it's their first song they've ever worked on, their first, album, to a legend like James Brown. It doesn't matter because everyone is treated equally as important. And it's vital for us to be that way. We have to be that way because they are, and our reputation relies on that. We set out to really build something in Charlotte, a quote unquote non-music town. And Drew and I, you and I have talked about this a lot, and that is to build something in this city, and to really, when COVID hit, to expand that tremendously. And we're just getting started. Like, we added the Ruby Room, we added the Opal Room, we added the Emerald Room, we transformed another room into the Sapphire Room, which is a Dolby Atmos certified room. It was tuned by Dolby, an incredible room for a new format that's really taking over. And I'm thankful to all the people that helped with that, PMC and Dolby, and just an incredible time there to build that room. And it sounds amazing, and it's incredible to mix in. And what it does for you as an artist on the streaming platforms is huge. And we wanted to bring these things to Charlotte, to the non-music city, quote unquote, because there's so much talent around here. And that's one reason why Drew's sitting in that chair right now and why he's a part of our team. He's from Nashville, and I can let him expand more on this. An unbelievable songwriter, hit songwriter, and a great engineer and producer too, but more importantly to me, a great friend.
Yeah.
Who's been around the studio a long time. We've worked on a lot of albums together over the last decade or more than a decade.
Yeah.
And
I think we met you through Swine, right?
We did, yeah.
I think you talk about that, or he talked about it in a story that we had.
Yeah.
You rode down with him.
I rode down with him, just on a whim.
I think we were doing a tracking session. He was on.
Yeah, I think I canceled a riding appointment to ride with him.
Oh yeah.
And,
I hope it was worth it.
It was absolutely worth it, but I fell in love immediately.
Well, Swine's an amazing bass player, session bass player. He lives in Nashville, originally from Shelby, not too far from here, and his mother still lives there. But I remember him calling me going, "Old Tabor, do you mind if I bring this kid down? He's a great guitar player and singer and songwriter. I want you to meet him. And I said, man, please do. And Drew showed up with an acoustic guitar and sat on the couch and played songs for us, and we hit it off immediately.
Yeah.
And Drew's here because while there's a lot of talent around here, we want to show this talent around here and give them an opportunity to really showcase that.
Yeah, be
and
better.
understanding writing and production and pre-production and mixing and Dolby Atmos and you know, all the things that encompass what ultimately makes a great product, a great professional product, and understanding of how to develop those talents. We don't want people from Charlotte to split and leave, or the region. I mean, we work with artists from all over the world, but I want to really develop and make something in my hometown where my children were born.
Well, there's no need to go somewhere else. I mean,
That's right.
You know.
Yeah.
But Drew, that's one of the reasons why Drew's here. He brings an element of professional songwriting to the table that's rare in Charlotte, and an understanding of that side of the business is important. You know, Drew, you can expand on that, I'm sure.
I think it's important that I'm here before I retire. There's some huge hit songwriters here, but they're retired. They've retired here. And I don't want to do that.
Right.
I want to be, for me, man, when I saw this place the first time, 10 years ago or more, however long it's been, because I thought, it dawned on me on the way over here, I thought, man, what is Swine getting me into? Like, what can be in Charlotte that
Yeah.
we're leaving? Because he's an A-list session player. He's in the biggest studios in Nashville every day. And I thought, why are we going all the way to Charlotte? And I got here and I went, well, this is why we're going all the way to Charlotte. But I fell in love with not just what you were doing here, but the way that you guys were doing here. It immediately felt like family. There was just a totally different approach to recording and mixing and mastering and everything else. And it's just always been strange to me that so many great artists come from this area. They come from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, West Virginia, that all pack up and go to Nashville or to other major cities, to New York. Atlanta's a big hub now. Some of them even going to L.A., you know. I met a lady yesterday, worked with a lady yesterday that left here to go to L.A. to work. And she came in here and she said to Susan, she said, I had no idea this was here.
Wow.
You know, this is such a huge hub. You don't have to go to these, as you said, the quote-unquote music cities,
Right.
to be able to make great records. And not just great records, but records that can really change your life and really change your path. And you can do it here at home. And we see people do it from here all the time. And that's what I want to embrace. And that's what I want to get this, especially things with like the songwriting, as you said, man. Like I want to start building this core of songwriters that build other cores of songwriters, and we're not all running to Nashville to chase a publishing deal.
That's our news story,
That's it. Yeah,
right?
that's it.
That's what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have other
Yeah,
questions
we
coming in?
do. We have a couple to get through.
Okay.
Okay, so Nick, we all know and love Nick. He works on the video team.
Okay.
He is saying, you know, there's so many artists and creatives, business owners that enter a career with passion, but then lose it as it becomes a job. Because, you know, we do it every day and, you know, you get in a routine. How do you keep your passion every day, and how have you for the past 28 years now?
We have a catchphrase for that too.
What's our catchphrase for that?
Well, if you love what you do,
Yeah.
you don't work a day in your life.
Well, that's true.
Right.
That's a common catchphrase.
But you talk as a engineer.
Well, that's a great question, Nick. You know, and we constantly remind ourselves of that, and I constantly try to remind staff of that. You guys will know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I always say, we're used to these four walls. We see it every day. But this is a magical place. It's a place where dreams come true. And we are facilitators of that. And no matter who's walking through the door, first time, 100 times, that this is a magical place where we are creative. And we have to always remember that. And if you're having everybody has a bad day, but if you're having a bad day, you check it at the door.
Yeah.
And you come in here and you smile and you make magic. And that's a big deal. Because you're right. It's easy to sort of lose sight of that. But for us to be a part of these albums and these artists, we have to extract their very, very best every time.
Yeah, the process is the same, in essence, every day, what you're doing.
But every day is also so different.
But and you're
Like-
working with so many different people, so
Yeah.
many different types of music.
Yeah.
Every song's different. Every song's
Yeah.
unique and has its own life.
And so that makes it different.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you could record the same song twice and it would be different each time. And I think that's true for the video side and the audio side. Every day we're working on something new and something different. And you have to love the process as well. And the people. The people
Yeah,
help.
you're dealing with so many personalities. I mean, and you have to adapt.
I think the trick
Right?
is to be as comfortable in this room as possible, so that the service is undoubtable. You know,
Yeah.
this is such a people don't realize how much this industry is a service industry. It's not listen to my drum sounds, listen to my I have a cool pull tech, right?
Yeah.
It's how
Which we do. But
yeah right? And my drum sounds are cool
And
sometimes.
you do have great drum sounds.
But I also have great respect for the fact that service comes first, and the
Yeah.
artist experience is so important, and being aware of that.
And that's
is-
what I hear about a lot when people are calling in. They're not talking about, and I've broke it to him gently, but how cool his SSL is or his however many $1,000 microphone is. They're like talking about their experience and what they got from the people. Now we use those as tools, but I mean, that's what's cool to me, to have such a great team here, to be able to, make that the forefront.
They are very much tools, and we look at them that way. And we're
Just like a
blessed to
wrench,
have really cool
you know?
tools.
Yeah.
But Logan's our newest member on the team, really, and
Yeah.
and came all the way from the big city of Wilmington. And
Massive city.
and man, he's been a godsend and an amazing guy here on our team. We're thankful to have him, and he's worked already on some great projects. And I
Which
think
you
in his
talked about
story,
in his story,
yeah, in his story,
yeah.
you did. You talked about it. You walked in and
We threw him in the fire.
we threw him in the fire with Post Malone and his band just immediately.
And Branford and
Branford, that's right,
his
Branford.
band. Yeah, that was the first thing.
That was the
Yeah.
very first thing. Amazing stuff, and part of our story. And now Logan's a huge part of our past and our future, and we're thankful for that too. So
Yeah, and he's a guy that if you haven't worked with him, then once you have, like he is so like patient and very like on it and very helpful as far as, and he's a musician himself, which he's probably like,
I am.
But he is.
You always call me a guitar player, and that's a joke.
he's a great singer too. But
I have proof.
but
Nobody knows.
all of those things are assets when it comes to doing the job that you're doing.
Certainly.
And we recognize that, and that's been a great addition to what we do.
Well, everyone here, myself included, we require internally that we do our best work every day. Not only for you as the artist or being videoed or recorded and sung, whatever it may be, but for our own gratification, so that when we sleep at night, we sleep well knowing, man, I gave it 110%. Doesn't mean we always hit the mark, but we sure try. And
No, and that's the best part about working around other engineers and things is, I can walk in a room and learn how to do something I know how to do a totally different way every day of the week.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I'm
Another
constantly inspired by
Perspective,
different perspectives. That's a great word for it.
Yeah.
Which
Well-
sometimes keeps me up all night because I'm like, well, I should have done something different. But
Well, that's sort of common in this industry too. If we hadn't told that story, but
we
None of you guys
introduced you
sleep.
to
None of us sleep.
we introduced him to some cool speakers too, Bowers and
Oh,
Wilkins,
yeah,
and
they
and-
keep me up all night, and my neighbors,
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of cool to think that.
yeah. Yeah.
And a new car has Bowers and Wilkins in it too, which is awesome. But and that brings me to something we're going to bring in the future, which is one thing that goes together well with music are cars. People ride down the road and jam tunes, no, you know what I mean, and play music, and a lot of music is consumed in a car. And so we're going to have an event coming up in a few months, which we'll announce, that we're partnering with some really cool people, a performance company here in town called GMP, as well as McLaren Charlotte and Rolls-Royce Charlotte, to do a big event here where the studios will be open. There'll be a lot of cool cars here.
Maybe other people.
Yeah, we're just
started.
gonna invite a lot of people in. It's gonna be a cool event that we'll announce soon. So I wanted to bring that up too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
Madeline,
All right.
More questions.
Let's get to some questions. Okay.
Yeah, we talk a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Austin has another question. Can you speak to the mistakes that even established artists will sometimes make during the recording process?
during the recording process, mistakes. Drew, since you come at it from a little different angle than I do, starting with the songwriting really early on before there's even pre-production, I think he specifically asked about recording, but I think we could talk about mistakes up to that recording point and then carry it from there.
Man, for me, what I've seen so much of and what I've also been guilty of myself is chasing trends or chasing radio and not writing or not performing. And when I say performing, I mean not just in live performances, but in studio. You know, when you're singing a vocal, that is a performance. When you're playing a solo, that is a performance. And so in writing, in recording, in performing, all of that, chasing something that is not authentic to you just because it is the hit thing right now, that to me, that will never serve you well. It might for a minute, and then after that, there's a huge fall off.
I've always said that's because I feel like if you're trying to be something you're not, that's in essence a lie.
Sure.
And lies never stand the test of time.
Sure.
They may have temporary success, but truth has long-term success.
For sure.
And that's a great point.
And if that's not a good enough reason not to do it, if you're chasing something, you're behind the curve.
Yeah.
You're
already
done.
lost.
You're late.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean you can't be pushed in the studio
Sure.
to be more of
Sure.
who you are.
Or
We do
inspired
that
by an artist.
all the time.
We're all a composite of things we're inspired by, no doubt.
Glenn's always said, like when he's working with a vocalist, like he pushes them to the edge of the cliff where they're just about ready to fall off, and usually he gets some of his best performances that way, you know. So it's okay to push yourself,
Sure.
but be yourself.
I think another mistake, he asked for specific mistakes, Austin, when people are recording specifically, I think lack of preparation is a big one. And there's a balance in that. Like anything, you don't want to be so ingrained that you're not flexible to better ideas or different ideas or experimentation. But at the same time, not knowing the lyrics well, or not knowing the chord structure or the song structure, or whatever it may be. We got a candle going nuts
I don't know
over
if
here.
anybody can see this candle, but it's kind of going crazy.
It's
right
decided.
now. There's a little puddle of candle
it's-
right here.
We've
Decided
lit a
to-
fire.
28 years and the place burned down.
It's going down in smoke.
But I think preparation's a big deal. To come in and be flexible, be ready to be creative, be ready for change, but know your stuff. It's like you really need to know your own material, and that's a big thing I see.
Yeah, man, I'm the same way. It makes me nervous when we talked about this a little bit a couple of days ago. It makes me nervous when you check in with an artist and say, "Hey, man, you ready for Tuesday?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, man, I've been practicing, nonstop." And you go, "Wait a minute."
There's a balance.
Don't over rehearse it.
Yeah. It's a good point. There's a balance there for sure. Because
And
it's hard to break a habit, know,
Yeah.
and if you've really ingrained something very strictly, and we come up with something that may be cooler, it's
Yeah.
tough to kind of change sometimes on the fly.
We have a term in the studio for that too. Call it demoitis.
Demoitis.
So it looks like we have a decent amount of questions sort of
Okay,
regarding
so-
this topic.
Well, let's
move
keep
forward.
trucking then.
So I think there's some spin-off questions from this conversation.
All right, cool,
Okay.
cool.
I'm not going to go in order, but I want to get to all
Whatever
of
you
them.
want to ask.
So
We're excited.
I first want to say thank you to Jason for commenting, because Jason York, he's been such a big
Oh,
supporter
man.
of this whole
Oh,
series.
yes.
He's texted us after almost every episode, telling us what he thought. So shout out to Jason.
Shout out
first of
for
all.
sure. Shout out to
very
Jason,
big support.
and specifically, Jason is a music director at an amazing church in town called Central. Great people there. Everyone I've met from that organization.
Him and Tina and everyone there.
Everybody.
I mean, we can't list them all.
They're top-notch people, a top-notch organization, top-notch musicians and songwriters and singers, and
They get
we're
so excited.
we're thankful that they're a part of our story too.
Yes.
No
Absolutely.
doubt, no
Absolutely.
doubt.
So
Definitely.
Maybe we'll have them on something soon. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we should.
Absolutely.
Jason's up for it.
So we have a couple questions
Okay.
from Jason and from others. One of Jason's questions is for Drew, I think. He said, Drew mentioned working with local songwriters. Are there opportunities to bring songs, ideas, fragments into co-writing sessions at Gat3?
Bring me all of your ideas.
He said in the future, but it's happening right now.
It's already
It's-
happening.
it's
It's been
happening
happening
now,
this week
Yeah.
to a lovely young lady named, I'll mention her name, Anna, who just got an amazing deal and is going to be a big, huge star. She's a great singer. We've been writing this week and last week. We're writing with other artists. We're writing with
Yeah.
Drew. I'll let you speak to that, but that's why Drew's here.
Yeah, and it's super exciting to me. My thing about this specific area is that we know that the talent is here. I mean, Appalachian music, man. This is where so it's in the blood.
No
It
doubt.
is here, and it's in the.
I know, right? I'm eyeballing it as well.
It's
Candle.
You never
It's
know
just-
what's
You
going to happen.
probably can't see it.
yeah.
Like,
I think in one of the
It
angles
keeps
they
coming
might be
this
able
way.
to see it.
We had wax running down. We interrupted Drew. That's all right.
Sorry, Drew.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't think we're gonna do this right here. We're gonna turn this around.
There we go.
Maybe that'll help some. There we go.
Sorry.
But it is. It's here and it's happening, and it's I'm trying to make connections and interconnections and things like that. Glenn, all of you guys have been a huge help with that process. But so the songwriters are starting to come out of the woodwork. I'm super excited about that. But anybody that's interested in songwriting or that is wanting to really tighten up their songwriting skills, there's going to be some great opportunities in the future.
Not only that, but workshops, one-on-one
Absolutely.
writing, a lot of big things planned, and Drew's a huge part of that. And one of the reasons why he's spending, half of his time between here and Nashville, and to help grow this area. And he's excited to work with a lot of different people in all different kinds of genres. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I think he might be one of the answers to this next question. What's the biggest things lacking or holding back artists that never find success? And I think having great songs is a part of it, maybe. But I'd love to hear what you
Starts
guys have to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Logan,
You
start
take it,
us out,
Logan.
man. You had a definitive thing to
Yeah,
say.
I think first we should consider what success is, and if is success, being a mega superstar artist, not for everybody.
Correct.
That's not success for me. Success for me is making your songs a reality, and I think that's a big, taking the step to go to a studio and make a song and collaborate with other people. That's successful initially. And what happens on the back end can't be promised. But as long as you kind of put your best foot forward and make the best product that you knew how initially, then you're kind of already successful in my brain.
Well, you got to be hungry. I mean, we've worked with a number of artists who they had the means, either someone supporting them or on their own, to make whatever they want to make. They had the opportunity to play at different places, and they just don't put in the hard work. It takes hard work.
It does.
It's not just fun.
Kind of goes back to the question that
I mean,
was
it
asked
is
about
fun, but
this being your everyday, all day thing. It kind of takes that from an artist
but
too.
even
I
as
think.
an artist, I mean, you have to put in the hard work. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Question from Kenny Smith.
Oh, Kenny
Ah,
Smith.
Kenny.
We all know and love.
He
Kenny,
was on a story.
yeah, Kenny and Amanda, they had a story. They've been a big part of our lives for a long time. Big part of Gat3.
Yep.
So he said, this question is for Glenn and Logan. If you could pick one mic, mic pre, EQ, etc., what would you choose?
Who's your favorite child?
Well, let me start off by saying Kenny Smith and his wife and his daughter and their bands over the years have changed my life for the better. They're special,
Absolutely.
and he's as close as you'll get to a living legend. Really. An amazing guitar player, but more importantly, an amazing human. And their story was touching to me. Great people. And he wants to know, like, the best microphone? If I could only have one, man, as Susan said, it's like, who's my favorite child? Well, I love them both for different reasons.
Depends on what you're cutting.
Yeah,
If Kenny's playing, you could put a trash can in front of him. Yeah. Sound pretty good.
Kenny.
grab an
David
old
Johnson.
dial-up
You can-
phone and put it in front of Kenny's guitar, because he not only brought an amazing guitar. We're in the middle of working on a new album right now, and which is mind-blowing. I can't wait for you all to hear it. Sonically, song-wise, Amanda's vocal, incredible stuff. One mic, one pre. For me, if I'm cutting acoustic guitar, man, I love. It's hard to
the
say.
800s, isn't it?
Yeah, the Sennheiser MKH 800s are an amazing mic for acoustic guitar when you want pristine, beautiful, and I love those going through a Neve 1073. There's just something sort of magical about that combination. But once again, if a KM84, a Vintage 84 is a beautiful mic on an acoustic guitar too. If you want more of a
149.
picturesque,
Yeah.
version, and then the Samar ribbons are amazing. VL37As are incredible on a guitar. So I pick one. Gosh, it's so difficult.
I think on Kenny's guitar, how many mics did we use the other day?
1, 2,
7?
1, 2, 3,
Five?
4, 5. Five. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we
Because
yeah.
we loved them all for different reasons. So.
Yeah. We had some 49s hanging above for sort of the picture of the guitar from above. A pair of MKHs and XY on the MKH 800s on the guitar itself, along with the Gaffel, right?
UM70.
Yeah, UM70, a vintage one. So, and then a combination and a blend of those depending on what we were doing. So, but Kenny, thanks for that question, man. We love you guys. It's awesome.
We just can't give you a straight answer.
Yeah, I wish I could be
There's
more
a
That's how
reason
candid.
why
art
he
is
has all of
sometimes.
them.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
I can't decide.
But it's a question I do get asked from time
That's
to
why
time.
he has so many.
They all
He uses, at least that's what I'm told.
they're all different paint brushes to paint your painting, and sometimes you need to paint different ways and different things, and that's another thing. I really think about that heavily before the session, sometimes months before. Okay, this is what I'm going for. These are the tools that I want to use. I think I'll try this mic and that mic, and man, this would be cool. And I plan all that out and run that through my brain long before the artist ever walks in the door.
And ultimately, the first time you hear it, it's subject to change.
Instantly.
Instantly.
And we do
So,
that.
You
Call
build
it on
this
the fly.
list. You build this
You
list of all this
Yeah.
glorious stuff, and then
You're like,
oh, that's not
no.
that's not working.
We're
know.
fortunate to have hundreds of microphones here in a cool mic closet that we built, and that allows us to really pick the color palette we want for the picture we want to paint. And like you said, Logan, that can change as soon as you put it up and go, oh, I was wrong. Go grab the whatever, and we keep trucking.
Yeah.
But even that's fun to me.
Oh.
When I have a great idea, and then whether it be with a mic combo or a mic pre combo, or even if it's something on the console, and I get this great idea, and you try it and you immediately go, that was terrible. Even that's fun to me because you grow from that.
Yeah.
You do, man. 100%.
Absolutely. All right. Man, we have a bunch of comments piling up.
Well,
Okay.
we'll
get
we'll
through
try to
them.
talk less and
Shorter
get
answers.
through them. Shorter answers.
By the way, I don't know if anyone can still see this candle. It's just.
It is just bleeding
Okay,
wax.
maybe we should just.
I'm just gonna blow it out.
We'll post a
This is,
picture of it.
this is the beauty of being live.
Beauty of live.
These
You
are-
never know what you're gonna
These are
get.
the real things that happen.
We all like are so protective over equipment and so forth
It's just a
that
giant
everybody's
portal.
eyes keep cutting over to it because we're like it keeps creeping towards the equipment in the
All
room.
right. Well, hopefully it will stop now. All
right.
Let's answer some
Who else
questions.
we got?
Okay, questions. From Jason York. We live in a day where everything is so visual. How do you see the Gat3 visual team and then the Gat3 audio teams working together with recording artists in the future?
Oh my god.
Man, that's a great question, and no doubt, our oldest daughter, Madeline, who sits right here, grew up around the studio, grew up around audio, grew up playing piano and singing, and our youngest is an amazing musician on
She's
so
behind
many
the scenes.
things, and on the video team. While the world has brought those two worlds together, media, audio, and video, my daughter brought that home and was visual from the time she was born, basically, and creative from the time she was before she could walk, and she brought that unexpectedly. We never saw it coming.
Yeah, no, it
to
wasn't
this-
just given.
and
I mean-
has taken that torch and blazed a trail that is unbelievable
We're
for
trying
a,
to keep up with them.
no doubt, for a young lady, and I'll let her expound on that more, but no doubt.
How do you think it'll change?
Well, I think what's been interesting throughout my life is I started on the audio side of things, recording, and I would record my own songs and work with other people. And then I moved over to the video side of things, which I think, in the music world, it's like, oh, the dark side, the video side, we sort of joked about that
We
throughout
give
my
you a hard
life.
time. Yeah.
But I mean, I think I have strong roots in music. So that's always going to be a part of me, and working with artists. I think Jason and Central, they're a great example of that. They record here. We have filmed multiple music videos with them and behind the scenes in the studio. And I think that our two worlds together just have, it's the perfect combination, to have everything together because everything is so visual, like Jason said. So
I think it circles back around too with knowing your clients, their
Yeah.
personalities, their vision. Whether that's in audio or video, to deliver that.
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, we get to work on so many great projects together, all the time, from, music videos to another big one that a lot of people have probably heard us talk about, Advocate Health Has Talent. We've done that now coming up on 5 years. Every year it's a big project that we get to work on together.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun.
And a shout out to my friend Gene, who is an amazing musician, and I met through recording this incredible 15-song album of songs from his youth, from the time he was in college till now.
Yeah.
And this album is called Love and Protest, and what an amazing guy who has an amazing day job. And Madeline gets to film, her and the team get to film the corporate side of that as well as the music side of that, and his music videos, and just how that's evolved into. He told a story. He was one of the 27 stories, and his mark on our history will never be forgotten, and our future. Pretty incredible stuff, and that's a great example of art and songs and music videos, and then the corporate side of things too, and how we can bring creativity and heart and emotion. How Madeline really does that visually, because we're storytellers. At the end of the day, a song is a story. It creates emotions. Whether it's a dance song that makes you happy and want to move, or if it's a spiritual song, or if it's a down and out song, you want blues, you want to get the blues out. I mean, all these things create emotions, and the visual tells that story as much or more than the audio. Married together, what an incredible, powerful package.
Absolutely, yeah. one of my favorite things is getting to work together. We have our own separate projects. Sometimes you're just working on, this person's record, and I'm working on someone's video, and they don't really mix. But my favorite is when they do.
Because sometimes those two things are completely separated.
Yeah,
by different facilities, and it's like
different places. Well,
one doesn't work well with the other. But
well, and the video team, we're remote a lot. We're out. We're not just here in the studio. I mean, we are.
Well, you just had a cool remote scout event 2 weeks ago or whenever it was.
Just got back this past week from a huge scout overseas. We went to Spain. That was the main place that we were scouting for an upcoming project this summer. We'll be back in Spain here in a few months, so that's exciting. And we're going to be there for quite a while.
The test footage and pictures I saw were incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. But we also, while we were there, we went to Portugal, we went to Gibraltar, we went to Morocco, Africa. So we were in 4 countries, and we were scouting. Got to see so many incredible things.
Can I tell the coolest story?
Absolutely.
about Gibraltar?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I had this Zoom call that I had to get on a business meeting for a project that's coming up that's really cool. And I had to meet with several people on that Zoom call. I think there were 5 or 6 people there. And I needed Madeline to be on the call as well. It was sort of a last minute thing because there's a huge video component to the song that we're working on in like 6-7 cities across the U.S.
Across the whole country.
Yeah, across the whole country. And it's a massive project, and I really needed her expertise on the video side of things. So I'm like, I texted her. I'm like, she's in Spain. Madeline, can you please join this call? I really need you because you'll have to talk about it. So
like a 6-hour difference or something like that. So.
Yeah.
So she goes, I'll make it work. I don't know where I'm going to be exactly, but I'll make it work. And I don't know how connected I'll be internet wise and all that good stuff. So I get on the call, and Madeline joins, and she's in Gibraltar on the rocks. And it was like
Mediterranean's right there.
Right there, the sea behind her, amazing, and everybody's like, and it was a breathtaking view. And in
Where'd you get that background?
yeah, they're like, that background's cool, and
And
she's
I was
like,
no, it's not a background. Let me show you.
so that was an epic time, but
Yeah,
very
yeah.
cool projects coming up from this young lady. So
Absolutely, yeah. It was pretty fun, and it was funny to see everyone's reactions on the Zoom call. They're like, "That's a cool background. How does it move?" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually here." And I was like wedged between 2 giant rocks to have the meeting with my purse. I had my phone there, and I had my AirPods, and
but she joined the meeting, and we got it done.
I made
so.
it. I made it. Had signal out there in Gibraltar on the.
It was
water.
amazing, and brought us some rocks back from Gibraltar.
Yep, I did
Yes.
bring some rocks back.
I
I hope that's legal.
I drove out to Dallas, North Carolina last night. It
We go.
You're
everywhere.
learning the whole area,
It was-
even further out, right?
it was nice too.
We go everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. So, I mean, the video and audio team, we work together a lot. And,
We do.
And that's my favorite because we work so well together. Yeah. So,
You'd think we were family or something.
Yeah. It's kind of like we're family. Let me get to some other questions because we have a
And
lot.
your last name
Well,
is
let's answer
Faber.
some questions. We'll
That's
keep it
right.
short, man.
Okay.
It's
I
hard
keep
for us.
saying that.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
We talk too much.
Okay, Drew, this is from Jason. Drew mentioned working with local songwriter. Oh, no, we already did that one. My bad.
It's all right. We'll catch up with another one.
Mike, from Kids in America.
Oh,
yeah,
cool. Very cool.
Grassi. Yeah.
Mike's awesome.
Love
He
Mike.
says, as a local working musician that's blown away by the amount of talent in this city, do you think that sometimes relocating to, let's say, Nashville is something that's possibly not always the smartest thing to do?
Drew, you live in
should
Nashville,
take that.
so part time.
Yeah, don't do it. We're full. No, it's, you know what? These music cities like Nashville and New York and LA and all that are really great, but we're in a much different time now. A much
Yeah.
different time. We have worked with an artist as recently as this week that got a deal through social media. Now, no one here is saying that's what you aim for and you put all your eggs in that basket and go, okay, I'm going to get famous or I'm going to get a record deal on TikTok or Instagram. But you can release records now. You can put out records now without having to go to these major cities, without having to uproot your entire existence to be able to do that. So I think for some people, Charlotte is a bigger town. I think if you're out in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, you long for that community.
Those
Right.
poor guys.
And I think in that scenario, maybe a move might make sense. But otherwise, there's so many ways to do it without uprooting your entire life and your family and the whole thing. And to be able to make great music without doing that. It's possible now. It's a
Making the right
thing now.
connections,
You nailed it, the word community, and that's what we've tried to build here for so many years, and what we are strategically and intentionally planning to do more. And Drew's a big component of that, where we can say, all right, I think a lot of it, and I'm not knocking the area, it's just it's lack of knowledge, of understanding what it really takes to be great songwriters, what it really takes to make world-class records, what it really takes to do those things. And you can bring the expertise and create community around that. Your recipe for success is multiplied times, insane amounts.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're here to do, and that's what we want to do with every artist in every genre that we can.
Yeah. I think I would look really long and hard at, like, have I pushed myself as far as I can absolutely go in this area? Have I exhausted all of my efforts? Have I done everything that I can possibly do with this community that I've created in Nowhere, Nebraska, or wherever you're at? Have I done all of those things and absolutely know that 100% that I've exhausted all of that?
Yeah.
I would really think about that before I'd move 2 counties over.
Yeah, because I mean, you can work and create in
Absolutely.
one place, and then you can expand your reach. You can go on tour,
Absolutely.
travel, or whatever.
Yeah.
And even if you have someone managing that, they can be in a different place. They don't need to be in your backyard
right.
necessarily. So
Great.
I walked in on a remote session just the other day.
Yep.
We have the ability to do remote sessions in real time. And you can sit on your couch at home. You can drive down the road. You can be on a Zoom call.
we don't support that, by the way.
We don't support it. You can be on a Zoom call for work. Probably not the best idea, and still, on the other side, doing a real-time audio session and video.
Yeah.
You can do any of that now. It's possible.
Absolutely.
We offer all those services, by the way.
We'll put a little.
Ting.
Ding.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice smile. Okay, so Rich Basco.
Ah, Mr. Basco.
Rich.
Rich, an amazing bass player. I said it on record, as you know, and I've known this guy a long time, and he brings some uniqueness to the table. Played in some really cool bands. We're working on a project with a new young lady, an artist now that's going to be great, and so I'm curious what Rich
He's
is
a
asking.
rocker.
He is a rocker. He's a rock star.
So Rich says, I have seen firsthand the chemistry of Glenn and Logan on our recent project. I hope to continue to see that grow personally. Can you touch on how that feels and how fortunate it is to capture that proverbial lightning in a bottle?
Woo! What a question, man.
Let's do that.
It's not something we really-
Logan's got to
first.
touch on that one.
It's not
yeah.
something we really talked
Well,
about
there's two
too much.
perspectives too. Yeah, I know men and the feelings and
No.
all the relationships and stuff. You will
Let's
don't
hear about
talk
your
about
feelings.
that,
You
but
hear about my
Let's hear
feelings?
your
Hear about your feelings.
share some love.
I don't even know how to begin talking about that.
Well, you
I
were
can
an
start it.
engineer before
Okay.
you came here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an engineer before he came here. I can start it off well from my perspective anyway. And this is my perspective. I don't want to be around people who aren't as interested in digging as deep as they possibly can to make the best music that they possibly can. Logan cares as much as I do. Drew cares as much. Alex, Wade, the guys around the team here, they all care as much as I do, or more. And that's a rare trait. And when I find it, it reinvigorates me. And Logan has that. and he reinvigorates me, and hopefully I inspire him too, because we want to give back to gals that are younger than us and the generation behind us. That's why we have the recording school. Our recording school is doing amazing things. It's blowing up. With great stuff happening last week with that, and a lot of cool things about the school, which we'll share with you as time moves on. But Logan inspires me, and when you can inspire each other, magical things happen.
Well, I think you're both researchers, not just to sound smart, but to know how to figure out things and make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you dig like 100% into it to figure out
All
your
in.
tools, your processes, and
We're
so
all in.
forth. So
Yeah, and
I see a similarity.
I think that's how you have to be if you. Speaking about success as an artist, how about as an engineer? If you want to be a successful engineer, producer, this is the life. And then you just go home to sleep and, you know.
Well, and
I'm so invested in the technical aspect, but the relational aspect too. Like, how can I best serve the artist? How can I best serve the person I'm assisting? How much in the know am I about the session? Like we talked about artists being prepared. We need to be just as prepared as the artist for the session.
Mm-hmm.
We need to know the songs
more.
like better than them.
That's exactly right.
And I don't know. I think Glenn and I feed off a lot of each other for that very reason. He inspires me to be without any compromise.
he's a little tough.
No, he's not. No,
I think he is.
See, listen to
He's
that.
appropriate.
He gets tough love.
No, it's appropriate.
Well, it's sort of like
what's-
you have to be able to handle the situation. We
Yeah,
never know
and-
what
and-
situation's going to be thrown at us
And
in the middle
that's-
of battle.
What's cool about Glenn is he's aware of his competency in every situation, and anybody in the room now feels safe about the situation. So
Right.
if I'm assisting Glenn knows he's got it, and so I know I have it, and vice versa. If Glenn needs something,
good feeling.
you know, it
Yeah.
just kind of works out.
No, I get
And I
that.
think after like a month of being here, I was like, man, Glenn, I think we're working good together. And he's like, give it 6 months. Truthfully, after a couple months,
See? Tough love.
you just kind of you learn what each other needs and
Yeah.
how we work, and it
Anticipation.
just kind of happens.
And it's an ever evolving thing, no doubt. But
And every situation is different. Every session, it's not like there's a formula.
we learn from everybody that walks through these doors. We learn more too.
Oh gosh,
It's an amazing thing, and
the psychology behind all of this is impressive. You know,
yeah, it really is
the relationships. It's just crazy.
so crazy.
Do I inspire you?
I'm trying
You
to figure that
inspire
out. Drew. Nah,
You inspire us all. I mean, we all. I feel like I could take all these guys and gals to war with me if we had to go. You know,
Yeah.
You'd have my back, and I'd have yours, and there's no better feeling than that.
We kick some butt.
Yeah. There's no
Logan
better
and I
feeling
got to
than
do our first
We did.
session together this week, man, and it was really awesome. And that lightning in the bottle stuff that they talk about, like, there's no better feeling. There were several times the other day where we're sitting in these two chairs and we'd look at each other and go, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, that was
wasn't cool.
we had some of those too, but you know, it's man, that feeling. There's nothing that replaces that. Nothing feels like that.
Yeah.
And also just being able to have conversations about, hey, what if we did this? What if this
Yeah.
happened? You know, and that discourse is always.
It's great, yeah.
And he
Yep.
could tell you, like, no, man, that's a really bad idea.
Lightning in a bottle. Rich, thanks for the question. You are lightning in a bottle, man, no doubt.
We're not talking moonshine.
Okay, this is a big question. I don't know how we're gonna possibly answer this.
Okay, well, I like big
Um,
questions. We like challenges.
Do you have a favorite memory from the last 27 years?
Ooh, I might need a 27 more years to
we
think
had.
of
That's
that.
why we had to make so many stories.
I do.
Okay.
Oh,
And I told a story about it.
I have to say it's probably my favorite one. At least the first 4 times I watched it.
Being
I
able
cried.
to work with the love of my life every day is a treasure that very few on earth can have, and I have it. So that's my greatest memory. is working every day with the mother of
And
my children
Not just me.
and my wife.
Not
So,
just me, but kids too.
oh, of course, my children are here, no doubt. But you helped give those to me, so it's an amazing thing.
Can we do that?
Well,
That's live. It's too
live.
late.
It just happened.
It's done.
We're gonna have to change this to like PG-13.
That's all right. We're okay with breaking the rules sometimes.
Oh my goodness, we have so many. I mean, you guys can't see it, but I can.
Okay, well, we'll try to move quick.
No, what I'm saying
Are
is,
we going over our time allotment?
you know,
It's cool. We'll just keep talking
Yeah.
until
I
for a
wish you
little
guys
bit.
could see all the comments from people.
We'll
who
go back
don't-
and check
who
them
don't
later.
have questions necessarily, but they're just, showing their support. There's so many people I see in here: Mike Blackwood, Jeff Smith,
Oh, great.
Tia Jackson.
Whoa, awesome people.
Yeah.
I see so many different people we know: Jim Brock, Trey Ivy, Myron Alexander.
Wow.
So many different.
Love all those
people.
people. Man, these are all people you guys are all such an important, we wouldn't be here without you all. Such an important part of our history and our future. Thankful for each and every one of you.
Our cheerleaders,
Man.
our backbone.
God, we're blessed with so many cool people that have been around us over the years and been a part of our story and made great music with us and made us look good. I mean, we don't look good unless we can inspire you to
We
play
sound
and perform and do what you do. I mean, it's can't say it enough. Without talent, we've got a lot of knobs and lights and a big electrical bill, but you guys
We
make
have
the
that.
world go around, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get to some questions from Neil.
All right.
We
Neil.
love
Neil, too.
We love Neil. Neil was actually a big part of my career early on.
You
He
should
Yes.
talk about that
He
too.
was,
Yeah.
Neil was such. I want to give a shout out. to
Neil's
Neil.
an amazing drummer around town who's played in a bazillion bands. And if you've lived in Charlotte any length of time and played music,
You know.
you've
Neil.
run across Neil and he shook your hand and been your best friend
He's
because he'll look you in
community.
the eye and he is driven to be community, no doubt.
Absolutely, absolutely. Neil was such a big supporter of me because I've known him since I was a little girl. And when I got into video and all of that, he was such a big supporter and believed in me and had me in some crazy places filming.
Yeah.
I was a teenager filming in these like crusty bars for Neil.
Yeah,
and
you weren't even of age.
I had to
you
sneak her in.
technically
Yeah.
shouldn't even have
I
been
had
able
to
to get
sneak
in.
into these bars.
Allegedly.
To film music videos and stuff like that. So I have a special place in my heart for Neil, for sure.
Yeah.
But he has some questions for us.
Okay.
He has several. What's
Of
it
course he
like to record a Grammy-winning album?
Woo.
I'm not sure.
You're gonna find out soon enough.
Sort of like
That's
all
a
the
gr-
other ones.
You know what? That's a great question. It ties back into this. Every record is equally as important. And you don't go into a record going, I'm going to make this a Grammy-winning record. You treat everyone as if it's going to win a Grammy and be accepted all over the world.
Yeah.
And while we had a few nominations before the first 2 wins that I had, those 2 wins came on records that I didn't even think would win a Grammy. They were surprises. And so, therefore, it's nearly impossible to predict that is going to happen.
Yeah.
So, it reverts back to everything has to be treated as if it is the be-all, end-all record that you've worked on your whole life. Everything, whether it's a single, whether it's 2 hours in the studio or 20 days in the studio, it doesn't matter. You have to treat it like it is going to be the next record of the year.
Yeah.
And that's our policy, not because it sounds good, but because that's the only way I know to achieve success.
There's a ton of great artists out there who are well known that have recorded great albums, but never won a Grammy, or have very few compared
100%.
to other people.
I've got special albums that
So it's
nobody will ever hear, or very few have heard, that are amazing special albums to me
that
that I've worked on.
we're like, I mean, it's hard for us to even watch it because we're like, really?
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
What is it like to have? I'm sorry. What is it like to record the best drums in the South?
Woo!
He's
Best-
talking about his own.
Neil bringing drums around. Of course,
Of course
he
he's
is.
talking about.
You know what, man? there's an amazing artist that I have to give a shout out to named Bongos Ikwe, and Bongos is from Nigeria. And I won't bore you with that story right now. Maybe that's a story for video for the future because he's an amazing guy. Maybe we need to get him on camera. He was a legendary artist in Nigeria in the 80s, and he's in still to this day. Children grew up on his songs that their parents played. And I meet Nigerians now, and everyone knows who Bongos is. But I had the pleasure of working with Bongos many times and throughout the years. He'd come to the States and work here, and an amazing human. And he would always say, when the drums are in doubt, the song is doubtful. And that statement has always rung true in my mind, that the rhythm section of a song, drums, they define so much about the song. The vocals do too, and the other parts are important as well. But the drums sometimes they define the decade. 70s drums sound different than 80s drums, and 90s drums sound different than both of those. And 60s drums sound different, and electronic drums sound different, and triggered drums and samples, and with drums you can shape the entire vibe of the song with just the sound of the snare drum, or just the effects you put on the drum kit, or how roomy it is, or how dry it is. Not to mention all the amazing kits we have around here, which are great, and you can shape by picking the right drum sizes and the right drum shells, and whether they're in a booth or in the live room, and where your live room mics are. There's so many ways to shape the foundation of the song with drums. So therefore, there's a huge importance placed on that, because it sort of defines, in a lot of ways, how the rest of the layers will build that song out. And so that's always been my philosophy, and I started as a drummer, so a little bias there, but at the end of the day, the truth is that defines a lot of how the song impacts you, the groove and the rhythm and the tones of that rhythm. And so I've worked day in and day out and sleepless nights to make the best drum sounds I could possibly make.
Well, I think you're known for them. I mean, that's what I hear. I mean, as far as like people coming here, they're like, Glenn gets the most. I mean, he's great at a lot of things, but like specifically, they've spoke on his ability to get amazing drum sounds.
Neil, thanks for the question, man. I appreciate that
Thanks,
compliment. Neil. We work hard, all of us. Logan gets great drum sounds. Drew, we all, Wade, we all have a little different take on it, which is cool. But at the end of the day, we really try to make that foundation solid, and that's a big part of it. So thanks.
Yep.
Okay, what is it like to have an entire team of audio and video professionals at your creative disposal?
Whew. Madeline, maybe you should speak to that, because you're going to approach that from the video side and what the audio side brings to that as well. Mm-hmm. It's sort of back to Jason's question about how we integrate together.
Well, I think things like this happen a lot. We are all like bouncing ideas off of each other constantly. So things like 27 Stories happens.
Right.
And I mean, it's just nice to have both sides, because a lot of times people have one or the other. It's like you're a video production company or you're an audio production company. I think it's very rare to have both. So I think that is what's really special. I think it allows us to help each other. We help each other and elevate each other a lot, I think. Yeah. I mean, I know every day Logan's helping me with something, or I'm helping him with something, or Drew or Wade or Jordan, or all of us. We all work together.
That's what it's about. Having an amazing team means a lot. It means you can be even better.
Yeah, well,
when you're all working together and always willing to jump in.
And it allows us to do more, bigger, better projects. I mean, there's so many things I know I couldn't do if I didn't have you guys. Yeah.
Well, likewise, a small, powerful team where egos are checked, and none of us have an ego. Our ego involves our own personal internal doing great work.
The only ego is the job's going to get done right.
100%.
That's the only ego.
100%.
Well, we all share an internal drive to be as great as we can be, and I think that's why we work so well.
And we all know our strengths and weaknesses, and there are no pretense to that. And we know when Drew's the better guy to help with this, or Logan is the better guy, or man, I really need to bounce this off Susan because she's going to have a unique client-driven perspective on this. And or man, I need to chat with Julia because Julia's going to think differently than all of us in the room.
That's always true.
She's going to give me an angle that I didn't think of, very much like my own father. They have a tendency to break things down to the simplest, most direct, effective way to do something. That you sometimes overcomplicate and go around the world to get back to the same point when they're like, well, just go straight there. And that's a brilliant thing. And I admire that too. That's a trait. I definitely overcomplicate things sometimes. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
We got anything else?
Anything else we need to touch on, or we?
We've
I don't
gone
even know
through
how
a
long
lot.
we've been
Yeah,
here.
we've gone for a little while now.
Okay, well we
If
can.
there are any final questions, let us know now.
Yeah, because we'll move on. We don't want to keep you all day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an amazing year throughout this whole series. I can't believe it's been a year.
It's impossible to
It
believe.
feels like just yesterday we were filming all of the first episodes
Yeah.
for this series, and so much has happened throughout this last year. I mean, I think we've advanced and learned new things, and we've grown as a studio and as a company.
No doubt.
So it's been a great year.
We already mentioned sort of what I know my sort of favorite episode was, and I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah, I snuck
That's
in and
yours.
I snuck in and recorded that when you didn't even
Yeah.
know. You had no idea. It was impossible to
It's
keep it
hard
from
to
her,
get-
but we did it. We
They were
pulled it
like,
off.
I had cameras disabled, and I'm thinking something's messed up, and meanwhile they're in another part of the building recording this, and I'm trying to figure out the camera apps and everything.
Yeah.
But what do you have a favorite episode? I know, like, as far as numbers, like a lot of what I see that people click the like, because we don't know unless people tell us, you know, in comments or likes. But did you have a favorite episode?
Drew's favorite episode is Drew's episode.
Oh,
Oh man,
Didn't you say something about a bear in that episode?
Oh, the big.
Grizzly
Ah, good
bear.
point.
yeah, the grizzly bear. Yeah.
Our grizzly bear story. Yeah.
Well, for me, that story was important for me because over the 10 years we've known each other, it's weird because it's like you've talked so much about like how you guys met and when you met and the whole dating, and then you got married, and then Madeline came along. Like I've heard it over and over, but I've never heard it quite that way. So it was really special to hear that, because with you two, it's kind of like you don't even think about the backstory. It's just like, well, Glenn and Susan were just like they've just always
have.
been together. You know,
We kind of feel that way too.
so that was a great one.
Separated at birth.
Yeah.
That's all.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool to hear.
Yeah.
You got a favorite?
Yeah, I think it might be about the U67. That
A
might be
lot
my
of people
favorite.
like that.
It's
The
a good one.
67 and the chicken.
One, the
coop.
microphone's amazing, and secondly, it's just an amazing way to acquire such a
Yeah,
special
that sort of fell in my
microphone.
lap, and then
It's-
and then the fact that it came through, who also had stories.
yeah,
David Johnson, who's
oh my
one of the
gosh,
greatest
yeah.
musicians that's ever walked the earth and walked in these doors, and one of the greatest humans as well.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And to have a long history with him, and then for that mic to come through him, facilitating it was special too. That adds another layer of specialness to it for me.
Right.
And then to have James Brown sing on it, and then the Respect movie, the vocals for that to be on that mic, and that mic, how it's collected its own stories that it can't tell, but we can tell them,
Yeah.
and that's pretty cool.
And it's funny how you guys, I mean, I do too somewhat, but like you remember all of that. You're like, I know I had this person in. This
Oh.
is what I used on the. You don't have to look back on a sheet. I mean, we do. We keep those sheets just to make sure. But you remember all that, all those details.
You have to,
Well, because it's that important. You don't forget things that are that
especially
important.
if it sounds great. It's just like boom, right
It's
there.
forever
Right.
etched in your mind, no doubt. Well, I guess we'll close this off then. And the first thing is, I can't thank everyone enough. Not only the people here, but all of you that are watching and will watch on the replays or whatever. Thank you. We're gonna keep some stories going. We may change it up. We've been asked to do maybe stories on various instruments or pieces of gear, kind of like the U67 story.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to do just yet.
Tell
We're
us
gonna
what you
figure it
want.
out.
Give us
Yeah.
your thoughts.
Yeah. Hit us up. Send us a message. text us, call us, whatever it may be. Post a comment that, hey, I'd love to know more about whatever, and we'll do our best to kind of cover what we can around our already busy schedules. It was difficult to get 27 stories together.
It was
from a time standpoint.
It was a lot.
We've got hundreds and thousands of stories, but then to fit them into our regular schedules was tough. But we enjoy doing it, and it was fun, and we want to do more of it and do it in different ways. But a lot of big changes are coming still, both with video, audio, our recording school for engineers, and its expansion, and the really cool things that are happening with that, with songwriting, with all the people around. Let us know what you want. Let us know. We want to be part of your community. We want to help you live your dreams too, like we've been able to do.
Yeah.
And
be part of your story.
we can't thank you enough, and I can't thank all the people around here that help me and make me look good. They're indispensable and valued, and
Absolutely.
both on the video team. You've got a whole bunch of team players that aren't here. Jordan couldn't be here today, and Nick, and of course Julia's behind.
She's behind the scenes right now.
And the other Logan, and there's so many people that are a part of what you do, and I'm sure I'm forgetting people. And then of course Wade and Ace and Nate and all the people around us that help us make great records. We couldn't do it without you, and like I keep saying it, but I think we're just getting started.
Absolutely. 28 years on April 1st.
Monday,
Can't
28.
wait.
Yep.
Super
Light a
exciting.
candle. Help us celebrate.
Don't like that one.
Don't like
Yeah, don't like that one.
Awesome.
All right.
We got to change that one out.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody,
you.
for joining. And we hope you have a great Easter
Yes.
weekend.
Yeah, great Easter.
Absolutely.
Thank
Awesome.
you.